Now we are going to take all of the concepts from our slap hybrid approach that you've learned so far, and we're going to add another technique to that to allow us the opportunity to create some more interesting rhythmic combinations and musical ideas. And the technique that we're going to add to the previous techniques is a single hammer-on that's going to come from the fretting hand. And this basically just adds a note to every grouping that we were playing before. So whereas just the single thumb was one note before, we are going to basically do fretting hand leading with the hammer-on to make that one note two. So in other words, what we're going to do is we're going to first play the hammer-on and then follow with the thumb. So what was one note before now becomes two. And that's kind of neat. So it takes the workload and it splits it in half evenly between the two hands. Okay? Now, the thumb one approach that we were playing before, which gave us the two-note combination, if we add a hammer-on to that, the two are going to become three. So instead of just having thumb one, now we're going to have hammer thumb one. So now we get three notes instead of two. All right, then the three-note combination we were playing before, which was thumb one, two, now becomes a four-note combination with the hammer thumb 1 2. All right, so the three notes, thumb 1 2, we're adding a hammer before that, so it would be hammer thumb 1 2. All right, and then finally the four-note combination, which was the thumb 1 2 3. We add the hammer-on to that. Now that's going to become, of course, a five-note combination. Hammer thumb 1 2 3. 1 2 3 4 5 notes, right? 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. One of the things that I really enjoy doing with these techniques are applying them to a Latin tumbao type of groove. And if you've never heard that type of groove before, this is an example of something like that. 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. And it's played with a rhythm section that knows the authentic way to represent those rhythms. It's a really groovy and funky bass playing approach. It's a lot of fun to play. So what I love doing is taking the basic groove and just play that using hammer-on. So it's incorporating left hand leading, in my case being right-handed, my fretting hand being my left hand. I'm going to be leading with that hand for the actual foundational groove. So this is an example of how that might sound with the drum groove. 1 2 1 2 3. And then what I do is I take the hybrid slap stuff that we've worked on so far, and it's like I'm kind of filling in the gaps with it. So in a way you could look at it as playing bass and drums at the same time, but even in the context of performing with a drummer or with a pre-recorded drum beat, it adds a lot of motion to the line that gives it just a neat feel and a neat cycle to the rhythm and to the measures themselves. So this is an example of how it would sound putting the little drum parts in between the notes of the main bass line. I'll just start with the bass line itself, and then I'm going to phase it in. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 and Now I'm going to add the technique. Just the line. Now back with the other techniques. So it's kind of cool, and I've actually used that approach to compose bass lines in songs of mine. In fact, if you listen to a tune of mine called The Divine Wind, it's based on, well, the entire bass line for the entire song just about is based on these hybrid slap techniques. During the intro sections of the song, there are parts that incorporate that tumbao-ish type of a rhythm, and I'm playing that through different chord changes. Now, you can adopt this same approach with as simple or as complex a line as you want. And one of the things that I like to do is just take a simple repetitive groove, and then I'll try to embellish it, blending these techniques together. So here's an example of how I might do something like that. I'm going to base this line off of a tumbao-like feel, but I'm going to use some different notes. I'm just going to play using an A, a C, a D, and a G, and this is how the line's going to sound. 2, 1, 2, 3, and A, C, D, G, A, C, D, G, A. So I was just kind of trying to embellish the line more as time went on. I was even blending things like hops on the D, which I did several times in a row. And then I was doing sort of like a trilly rolling type of a sound using multiple notes or multiple rhythms on the same notes. So for example, this became this. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the basic rhythm, which for this started out as a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's the foundation for the rhythm of this line. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's really the underlying rhythm. It's a 3-3-2 type of approach. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and so on and so on and so on. And sometimes I would take the rhythm and make it a little more complex or filled by taking what was a 3, 1, 2, 3, and maybe turning it into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is a variation on the basic rhythm, but we're still retaining the foundational notes and the foundational groove. Take note that when I was doing the 5, the way I played it was I used that fretting hand leading hammer-on to begin the figure of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I did a hammer, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. That's what made up my 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hammer, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. Hammer, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then I'm just doing the same rhythmic grouping going back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right? Now let's go through what the other groupings are made up of. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we've already demonstrated is a hammer, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. But for the 3, I did a hammer, thumb, 1. Okay, and then for the 2, I did a thumb 1. I'm sorry, a hammer, thumb. So it's the 5 is hammer, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. Then I've got hammer, thumb, 1. Then I've got a hammer, thumb. So that's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that's a rhythmic theme that you can use. I'm just throwing out some different combinations for you to show you how you can mix and match these together. You can put together all kinds of groupings to create really interesting lines. And for example, maybe you wanted to make it up completely of 3s and 2s, but you want to change the order of 3s and 2s. Well, we've already done one that I showed you earlier where we were doing a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's a 3, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. The notes that I'm playing for that grouping are hammer, thumb, 1, hammer, thumb, 1, hammer, thumb. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But we could also do something like this where we went 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's a 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that gives us a different feel. If I count it off, 2, 3, 4 and a. Sorry, 3 and a, 4 and a. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's got a different feel from the 3, 3, 2. Okay, we could also do a 3, 2, 3. That would also work. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so lots of different combinations that you can use. You can experiment with these all over the place using different combinations of notes. Using different combinations of the rhythms and of course using different combinations of the hybrid techniques that we've discussed up to now. So that should give you a really good base group of techniques and rhythmic approaches that you can start working on and creating your own music and your own bass lines with.